Today, I want to speak about a very important landmark judgment of the Supreme Court, known as the Keshwanand Bharti judgment, also known as the Fundamental Rights case, which was delivered by a bench of 13 judges, which is one of the largest benches ever constituted to decide any case in the history of the Supreme Court of this country. I want to speak about some interesting facts in and around Keshwanand Bharti, which has been written by several eminent persons, including those who were part of that important judgment. Let us understand these important facts in and around the Keshwanand Bharti judgment. The core question in the said judgment was, did the Parliament have unlimited power to amend the Constitution, or were there any implied limitations on such amending power? The judgment was delivered on 24th April 1973, on the day when Chief Justice Sikri was to retire. It is one and the only case to be decided by 13 judges of the Supreme Court of India. It is the largest bench hearing the lengthiest arguments, which lasted for 68 days, spanning over 5 months and covering the widest areas of law and legal literature, resulting into 703 pages judgment with 11 scholarly opinions. Arguments began on 31st October 1972 and were ended on 22nd March 1973. Right at the start, it was made clear that the 13 judges were convinced to overrule the I.C. Golaknath judgment delivered by 11 judges earlier. The Supreme Court, by razor-thin majority of 7:6, for the first time in any constitutional adjudication in the world, propounded the doctrine of basic structure, where the power of the Parliament to amend the Constitution is not unlimited, and that the Parliament cannot amend the basic structure of the Constitution. Two retired Supreme Court judges, I.C. Dua and C.A. Vaidya were appointed as ad hoc judges to handle the court business during that time when the remaining 13 judges were hearing the Keshwanand case. The constitutional amendment can be struck down on the ground of violation of basic structure was unknown to comparative constitutional law. The majority judgment was delivered by Chief Justice Sikri, Justice J.M. Shelat and Justice Grover, Justice K.S. Hegde and Justice Mukherjee, Justice P. Jagan Mohan Reddy and Justice H.R. Khanna. The minority opinions were delivered by Justice A.N. Ray, Justice Matthew, Justice Beg, Justice Dwivedi, Justice Palekar and Justice Y.V. Chandrachud. There was no unanimity on what constituted the basic structure of the Constitution. Despite of there being 11 opinions, there was no unanimity on what exactly constituted the basic structure. The judgment was heavily criticized by the government as being ambiguous and incoherent and an attack on the supremacy of the Parliament. The judgment is considered most remarkable in the development of the constitutional law, as it saved democracy and prevented India from degenerating into a totalitarian regime or a one-party government. Nani Palkhiwala was the lead counsel for the petitioners, who, along with other counsels for the petitioners, argued for 31 days. H.M. Sirvai for the state of Kerala argued for 21 days, followed by Niran Dey. Though Niran Dey was the Attorney General of India and H.M. Sirvai the Advocate General for the state of Maharashtra, Sirvai appeared and argued for the state of Kerala and opened the arguments for the respondents, which was unprecedented as the Attorney General had the first right of audience. Attorney General Niran Dey was not happy and had complained to the Prime Minister, as mentioned by Justice P. Jagan Mohan Reddy in his autobiography, The Judiciary I Served. This case showcases the breathtaking scholarship of the 13 judges as well as the lawyers who represented both the sides. Analysis of the provisions of more than 71 constitutions of different countries were submitted by the councils. Councils referred to decisions of various Supreme Courts like the Supreme Court of USA, England, Canada, Australia, Ireland, Ceylon. References were made to various textbooks on constitutional law, other legal subjects, and also on political science, economics, and history. The case was almost to be reheard, as in February and March 1973, Justice Beg was hospitalized due to his illness, and if Justice Beg did not recover, the Chief Justice at that time, Justice Sikri, was to retire on 24th April 1973. Suggestions were made to hear in the absence of Justice Beg, which were objected by the Attorney General in Niran Dey. Justice Beg did recover, however, the arguments were cut short and written arguments were to be submitted by the councils. Though Nani Palkiwala appeared for His Holiness Keshwanand Bharti, who was a head of a mutt in Kerala, ironically, he never met or even spoke with Nani Palkiwala. Entire litigation was funded by coal mining and sugar companies who were also petitioners along with Keshwanand Bharti. The theory of basic structure was not supported by any precedent or judgment of any court. The said theory was the brainchild of a German scholar named Professor Dietrich Konrad, who had propounded the theory of implied limitation based on the experience of Germany and the misuse of the Weimar Constitution by Adolf Hitler. Hitler was appointed as the Chancellor of Germany and he undermined the Republic and the Weimar Constitution and seized absolute dictatorial powers through the amendment process of the German Constitution. Before this judgment, the basic feature theory was first introduced by Justice Mudholkar in his minority opinion in the judgment of Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan in the year 1964. He referred to the doctrine of essential features of the constitution derived from the Pakistan Supreme Court judgment of Fazlul Qadir Chaudhry versus Muhammad Abdul Haque 1963 PLD 486. There are certain unusual happenings which have been noted by several scholars and important eminent personalities who were part of that judgment. And Justice Jagan Mohan Reddy in his autobiography says that Niran Day, the Attorney General, suggested that the court's future would be at stake and the consequences have to be borne in mind if the decision went against the government. Justice Reddy in his autobiography states that it was generally assumed and alleged that the manipulation by the government in the appointment of judges was to obtain person whose philosophy was intended to accord with the government's philosophy or its commitment. He further observes that the attempt to pack the court with the judges whose views are in accord with the views of those who appoint them are not always successful, which was proved in this case. In the said case, the bench worked under continuous and sometimes intense pressure, as pointed out by Granville Austin in his book Working a Democratic Constitution. He observes that intense pressure came directly from the government to assure a favorable ruling from the court. Justice Reddy in his autobiography observes that what was put to test in the case was the role and the attitude of the judiciary and the judicial process in achieving social justice under the Constitution. Justice Reddy in his opinion observed that we should free ourselves of any considerations which tend to create pressure on the mind. In our view, it is not the gloom that should influence us, as Milton said. We cannot leave the real world for a utopia, but instead ordain wisely, and if I may add, according to the well accepted rules of construction and on a true interpretation of the constitutional provisions. On 24th April 1973, when the judgment was delivered, the majority also delivered the summary or a statement of what was held by the majority. It was a controversial summary as 4 judges refused to sign the summary. Justice Ray, Justice Matthew, Justice Beg and Justice Dwivedi refused to sign the summary. Justice Chandrachud in Minerva Mills case later held that whether the summary is a legitimate part of the judgment or not, it is undeniable that it correctly reflects the majority view. Justice Reddy and Granville Austin mentions that the drafts of the judgment before it were delivered had reached the government. The government was aware that the 3 most senior judges were against the government, and therefore on 25th April 1973, the government announced that Justice A. N. Ray had been appointed as the Chief Justice of India. 3 senior-most judges, Justice Shelat, Justice Hegde and Justice Grover, had been bypassed. Justice Khanna states that this was a grievous blow to the independence of the judiciary. Earlier, there was an attempt to supersede Justice Shah, who had given the majority judgment in R.C. Cooper and Privy Purse case. However, all the remaining judges threatened to resign except one, who was Justice A. N. Ray, if Justice Shah was superseded. Austin mentions that the Supreme Court had risen to the occasion, but what a bizarre fashion to save the Constitution. It is interesting to know that an attempt to review the Keshwanand Bharti judgment had also come up before a bench of 13 judges during the peak of emergency. In the book Supreme Whispers, Abhinay Chandrachud mentions that getting Keshwanand judgment reversed seemed to be the priority for Chief Justice Ray. During emergency on 2010-1975, Justice Ray issued a written order that the court would hear arguments on 10/11/1975 on two matters. One, whether or not the Basic Structure Doctrine restricted Parliament's power to amend the Constitution, and whether or not bank nationalization case had been correctly decided. It is interesting to note that there was no written application or a review petition filed before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court does not hear review petitions in open court. Following the order of the Chief Justice, on 9th November 1975, a bench of 13 judges commenced hearing of the review of Keshwanand Bharti case. After 2 days of hearing, on 12th November 1975, the bench assembled to a packed court for resumption of the arguments. Hardly the 13 judges had taken their seats when, to the surprise of all, the Chief Justice stated that the bench is dissolved. T.R. Andhyarujina, who had assisted H.M. Sirvai in the said case, observed in the article that from all accounts it does appear that the Chief Justice felt uncomfortable at the doubts expressed by some of his colleagues and the manner in which he had ordered the review. But however wrongly the review was ordered, it was even more wrong to dissolve a bench without any reason in the manner the Chief Justice did. During the hearing, at one point, somebody asked who constituted this bench. Chief Justice Ray looked at Palkhiwala and said, "You did." Palkhiwala responded with an emphatic no, stating why would he challenge a decision in his favor. Justice Ray then stated that the state of Tamil Nadu had asked for a review, to which the Advocate General of the state responded that the state stands by the judgment. Similar was the response from the Advocate General of the state of Gujarat. This exchange made the other judges realize that the bench was constituted at the behest of Justice Ray himself, who wanted the decision in Keshwanand Bharti overruled. It is because of this that on the next day, Chief Justice announced that the bench is dissolved and walked out. Post the resignation of Justice H.R. Khanna, who was a member of the bench in the review petition, praised Nani Palkhiwala's advocacy in Keshwanand review case and remarked that it was not Nani who spoke, it was divinity speaking through him. Justice Khanna and other judges were of the view that the heights of eloquence and advocacy reached on these 2 days were really unparalleled and that Palkhiwala's feat would perhaps never be equaled in the Supreme Court. Later, even H.M. Sirvai admitted that basic structure theory preserved Indian democracy. Important lessons which come out from this judgment are that the majority governments cannot be completely trusted and it is important to have a formidable opposition. Powerful central government can become a tyrant if there are no institutions of checks and balances. Courageous and bold judges have to sacrifice, but they win the hearts of millions of people and are remembered for their bold decisions. Hard work and industry of a lawyer along with great judges have saved the democracy in India. Supreme Court has proved to be the greatest upholder of the constitutional values and the liberties of the citizens. Indians must thank Keshwanand Bharti, the 7 judges forming the majority, and Nani Palkhiwala, as because of their efforts, India is today world's largest democracy.